All right, how is it going, guys? Welcome back to another wonderful episode. And I'm going to be reacting to Copenhagen's reclaimed land and why it's empty. So I didn't know anything about Copenhagen having reclaimed land, which I don't know if you're familiar with Copenhagen. I'm assuming you are. It's in Denmark. We all know about Netherlands having reclaimed land and being masters of taming the sea, and turning it into land and everything. This one's new to me. We're going to find out why Denmark, Copenhagen's reclaimed land. We're going to find out about that. Why is it empty, right? The original channel's name is Neatling. And as always, the link to the original video will be in the description section down below. So go check out their channel, show them some love, hit subscribe if you enjoy their content. So I'm going to switch my screen over right now. Let's check this out.
Farvandet mellem Sjælland og Amager. Her udføres for tiden et storstilet ingeniørarbejde. Sådan så herud i 1938. Og sådan vil der komme til at se ud i 1943, når
Big difference, big difference.
i Danmark er gennemført. Amager er blevet en tredjedel større.
When thinking of land reclamation projects, the Netherlands is probably the first country that comes to mind. But it's certainly not the only country that partook in land reclamation projects in the 1900s. If you didn't catch it in that opening segment, or from the title, today we'll be taking a look at a pretty niche topic, namely how Denmark reclaimed the western half of the island of Amager, which is the island right here by Copenhagen, the capital and largest city of Denmark. We'll also be covering why the reclaimed land is for the most part completely empty and not really being used for anything in particular. It definitely wasn't a project on the same scale as the massive polders in the Netherlands, but it is one that not a whole lot of people know about even in Denmark. And it's also a bit of an odd project, seeing as the land has for the most part not been developed and isn't even being used for agriculture like the Dutch polders.
Alright, so if you are in Denmark, did you know about this? Comment down below. And this is very interesting. Like, why? I mean, clearly that's just empty land. So it's like, why would they take all that effort? I don't know. We're going to find out, guys.
So with that said, let's talk about the history of land reclamation in and around Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Without any land reclamation projects, the area in and around Copenhagen would look roughly like this. Parts of modern urbanized Copenhagen, along with some of what is today called Amagerfællet, were already drained during the Middle Ages, likely to protect the city from floods during storms and high tides.
Middle Ages.
There was also a major protective dike further south to protect parts of the island that were naturally just barely above sea level. These western parts of Amager were generally used by peasants for their livestock to graze, but in the middle of the 1800s, Amagerfællet and the western coast came under military jurisdiction and was used for military exercises and as a part of Copenhagen's defenses in the case of an attack on the city. This is what initially sparked interest in draining the area in between Sjælland and Amager, as it would both be an opportunity to give the military more land to do exercises on and to give the peasants more land for their livestock to graze. It would also be a perfect opportunity to dig a deeper, more direct channel on the shallow seafloor for larger ships to pass through when sailing to Copenhagen's southern harbor. In the early 1900s, various plans were considered, including one where they'd potentially dig a canal through the entire island of Amager, and with a bridge over the Øresund to Sweden. But that would prove to be overly optimistic, as a channel was never dug, and the bridge wouldn't be built before the 1990s. Despite plans being considered this early on, nothing would come to fruition before 1939, when a law regarding the draining of the area was passed in order to create jobs for the growing unemployed population in Copenhagen. Their work would then begin in 1940 during the German occupation, in part to avoid the unemployed population being sent to Germany to do forced labor. The reclaiming of the land would consist of three major steps. First, the digging of a channel on the seafloor for ships to pass through, and the simultaneous creation of a dike with the soil from the seafloor. After that,
so just move it from there, build it up into a dike. I don't see why they had to make the dike and the polder to get that to be deeper, though, necessarily. I can see, you know, obviously giving them more land to train their soldiers and stuff, but
In a specific section where the soil was particularly tough, the area was surrounded by piles of soil and drained so the channel could be dug with better digging equipment such as regular excavators. By 1943, the channel on the seafloor for shipping and the dike would be finished, resulting in the area becoming a large lake. And the final step would simply be draining this new lake into the ocean, a process which took a couple of months. The old Amagerfjell, which used to belong to the military, became open to the public, while the military took over the newly drained area now called Kalvebodfjell, with the only exception being the southwestern portion, which became a nature reserve. Since the draining of Kalvebodfjell in the 1940s till today, there have been several other large and small land reclamation projects, such as Avedøre Holme, which was drained to make room for a large industrial zone. This land over here, which was drained to make room for the airport and a tunnel over to Sweden, Bornholm, a small island where the tunnel to Sweden emerges and continues as a bridge, as well as several peninsulas off the coast of Copenhagen, mainly for industry and to expand the harbor, with the largest of these developments being Nordhavn, a peninsula that is still growing and being developed and should be home to a whole 40,000 people when all the construction is finished.
Wow, 40,000 people. That's crazy. You don't have enough land? Just make more. I mean, I guess so. So you do have benefits of being a ocean country, you know, having the sea right next to you, because you can just build out. That's awesome.
But even with all these land reclamation projects, after the draining of Kalvebodfjell in the 40s, Kalvebodfjell has till this day remained mostly empty and undeveloped.
Wonder
this
why.
Of course raises the question, why in the world did they drain all this land for it not even to be used? Well, part of the answer you already know. It was drained to create jobs, not necessarily to expand Copenhagen. But the main reason is that it was simply not
just to create jobs, just to give people something to do, right?
Jobs, not necessarily to expand Copenhagen. But the main reason is that it was simply not possible or safe to develop the land until very recently. As mentioned, the military used Kalvebodfjell for military exercises, and they would do so until 1984 when they handed it over to the Ministry of the Environment, which partially opened it to the public. But access to parts of Kalvebodfjell were still restricted as there were unexploded grenades, explosives, and ammunition from the many exercises there while it was drained, but also from the centuries of naval exercises before that. Despite the area being somewhat restricted, the military giving it up did allow for some development of the area, such as a bridge and highway from Sjælland across Amager and over to the Øresund tunnel and bridge that passes over to Sweden. A metro line along with the Ørestad district was also planned in the early 90s, with the first building seeing their completion in the early to mid 2000s, making this barely inhabited region with only 100 people a fairly busy part of Copenhagen with a population of around 16,000 today.
Wow.
It would take until...
You know, if you guys enjoy learning, watching these videos with me and everything like that, do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit like. It doesn't cost you anything. It only helps the channel to grow. And my goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers here soon. I am just about at 9,900. So help me get to that goal, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Part of Copenhagen with a population of around 16,000 today.
Those buildings look cool.
It would take until 2010 before the last explosives were finally removed by the Danish military.
Wow.
Finally making Kalvebodfjell open to the public completely, with the exception of the nature reserve in the southwest. So, to answer the original question, the reason the drained land near Copenhagen is empty today is that large parts of it simply couldn't be developed before 2010.
But that's been 12 years from now. Or 12 years ago. I'll find out. I'll see when the original video was actually posted. It may have not have been 12 years ago at the point of the video.
But with the aforementioned Ørestad project being just about finished, we will more than likely see Copenhagen expand into the large empty area, especially with how ridiculously expensive housing has become in Copenhagen in recent decades. It's also very possible that large parts of the land will be left to nature as parks that can't be used for recreational purposes. Only time and the political tides will really tell. But that's about all for now. See you guys in...
Alright guys, well that was interesting. Now we know It exists. Okay, yeah, November 21st, 2021. That was when it was posted. So 11 years before that. So in 11 years, it's crazy that there's not been more development that's actually took place. But hey, now we know, guys, Netherlands, Dutchies, you guys are not the only one that's out there reclaiming land. So Denmark is right behind you, it seems. And it sounds like they may possibly have plans to reclaim some more land, although not necessarily on the same grand scale. So, but anyways, again, if you guys enjoy my videos, hit like, hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything but a second of your time. It only helps the channel grow. I appreciate it dearly. I will see you guys next time. Awesome. Take care.